Welcome to your 5-minute briefing for April 27th. Look, we're going to cut right through the noise this week and get you straight to the stuff that actually matters. The key developments and real, actionable insights you, as a business owner, need on your radar.
So, what's on the docket this week? Well, we're covering a lot of ground. We're going to start at the very top. I'm talking CEO succession planning. Then we'll dive into what the latest economic data really means for you. We'll also touch on some upcoming changes in employment law and wrap up with a look at a stealth tax that could be hitting small businesses pretty hard. All right, let's get into it.
Okay, first up, let's talk about planning for the future. Succession planning. It's one of those things that always feels like a problem for tomorrow, right? Well, a massive move from one of the biggest companies on the planet just yanked it right into today's headlines.
And here it is. This is Apple talking about their big CEO handover. Tim Cook is moving to executive chairman, and John Ternus is stepping up as CEO on September 1st. But listen to the language they use. A thoughtful, long-term succession planning process. Those words are so important. Thoughtful and long-term. This wasn't some last-minute panic. No way. This was a deliberate strategy that's been in the works for years.
So the big question is, how can you apply that kind of thinking to your own business? Well, here are 4 practical steps. Think about it. John Ternus has been with Apple for a quarter of a century. He's been mentored, he's been tested across all sorts of different product lines. And that's the real lesson here, isn't it? This isn't just about finding a replacement for when you leave. It's about building a whole pipeline of leaders who can handle anything. It's like baking resilience right into the DNA of your company.
And this really hammers home why that internal pipeline is so valuable. When you promote from within, you get continuity. Your new leader already knows the culture, they already have the relationships, it's stable. But bringing in someone from the outside, that's a huge gamble. It can completely upend your strategy, unsettle your team, and just inject a ton of risk right when you need it least.
Okay, so once you've got your internal strategy sorted, you've got to look outward, right? So let's shift gears and talk about the external stuff, the things you can't control, but you absolutely have to understand and navigate. We're talking everything from what the economic data is really telling us, all the way to some serious digital threats.
All right, check this out. At first glance, this number from the UK's Office for National Statistics looks great. 4.9% unemployment. That's down from 5.2%. So you're thinking, okay, stronger economy, more people working, awesome, right? Well, maybe. Let's peel back a layer.
Because this is the other side of that coin. The economic inactivity rate. Now, that's people who aren't working and aren't even looking for work. That number has actually gone up. So what does that tell us? It suggests that people aren't just moving to new jobs, some are leaving the workforce completely. It's a perfect reminder that one headline number almost never tells you the whole story.
Hidden risks aren't just lurking in economic data. They're all over our digital lives, too. The National Cybersecurity Center is basically sounding the alarm, saying our defenses aren't keeping pace with the threats. So I want you to really think about these questions for a second. Seriously. First, if your website just disappeared tomorrow, what would that do to your business? What's the hit, financially and to your reputation? Second, what's your backup plan? How do you keep taking orders, talking to customers, paying your people? And last, but maybe most important, have you actually practiced this? Because let me tell you, the companies that make it through a big cyber attack are the ones who thought through these answers way before they ever needed them.
All right, let's bring it back in-house. Time to talk about managing your people and your processes. This stuff is always changing, and right now there are some really important updates coming down the pike for employment rights and workplace safety that you need to know about.
Okay, you're going to want to circle 2027 on your calendar for this one. A new reasonableness test for flexible working requests is on its way. Now, the government is still figuring out the exact details, but the general direction is pretty clear. To say no, you're going to need a really solid, provable business reason. The whole idea is to shift the conversation from yes or no to how can we make this work?
Now, on the safety front, the Health and Safety Executive is shaking up the rules for reporting workplace incidents. You might know it as RIDDOR. Basically, as you can see here, they're trying to clarify some of the fuzzy definitions, update the lists of what actually needs to be reported, and even broaden who can make an official diagnosis. The important thing to know is that the consultation on this is open till June 30th, so you've still got time to have your say.
At the end of the day, so much of this stuff comes down to one thing, the bottom line. So for our final section, we're talking about money. We're going to look at managing your personal wealth and then defending your business from some pretty scary rising costs.
So let me ask you this, and be honest. Are your personal finances actually in step with your business's success?
This is a trap so many entrepreneurs fall into. The business is thriving, but your personal financial life is just a mess. A pension over here, some savings over there, a big chunk of cash just sitting in a checking account just in case. It's impossible to get a clear view of where you actually stand.
Okay, so here's a simple 3-step fix to get control. First, get everything on one page. I'm talking pensions, savings, debts, all of it. Just see it all in one place. Second, give every single pound a job. And I mean that literally. Label your accounts. This pot is for corporation tax. Don't touch it. This one is your 6-month emergency fund. This one's for future investments. And third, start questioning your old money habits. Is that giant pile of cash in your checking account really giving you security? Or is it just getting eaten away by inflation every single year? It's time to ask if your money could be working a lot harder for you.
Okay, now for a direct hit to your business's bank account. And I need you to pay close attention to this number. For thousands of small businesses in shared office spaces, this is a potential bombshell. We're talking an extra 5,400 pounds a year. It's being called a stealth tax, and it's all because of a tiny change in how business rates are being calculated. So, what on earth is going on? This chart breaks it down. The simplest way to think about it is this. Before, the government looked at your little office and said, yep, that's a small business, so you got a tax break, small business rate relief. But now, the Valuation Office Agency is looking at the entire building you're in with all the other small businesses, and they're lumping you all together. Suddenly, they see one giant business, and that giant business is too big to qualify for the tax break, so the relief disappears, and that huge extra cost gets passed directly onto you.
And that brings us to the end of our briefing. We've covered a ton of ground, right? From long-term strategy and economic warning signs to new regulations and shocking new costs. But really, the only thing that matters now is this question right here. After hearing all of that, which one of these issues needs your immediate attention today?